Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Appropriate Productions, the high-resolution, low-brow, freedom of speech, apolitically correct art company. In this episode, we take a little stroll down memory lane and check out what I think might be, I can't remember, I was young enough that I don't have fixed memories. Excuse me, but I think this might be my first comic book ever, Conan the Barbarian. We hope you enjoy. And here is The Savage Sword of Conan. What an amazing comic book. This is important for the series because it was my first comic that I can remember. It was one of the things that you just kind of, it was just there, you know? You don't remember buying it, remember how you got it. It just kind of showed up in your collection. And this guy grew in value to me by the year. It blew my mind when I was a kid. The storytelling, the imagination, the monsters, the characters just blew my mind, the magic. And then as it got going, I kind of lost interest as I got more into the commercialized storytelling. You know, I needed to read familiarized stories like Spider-Man and Batman, Superman, which is basically the same thing happening every issue in a commercialized way. And I was really into the big two Marvel and DC stories for quite some time. And then as I got older, sort of into my later 30s and my 40s, because I'm ancient, the different styles of the Marvel and DC style became less and less filling. It wasn't, the stories aren't as rich. There's more room to play in the outside of the DC and Marvel worlds. And I kept coming back to this more often. I just absolutely love this issue. I can't articulate enough how much I love this comic. So we're going to get into that a little bit. 1988, Marvel Comics. First of all, just the cover. Look at the work going into the cover. Beautiful magazine. Creepy art. Conan's a beast. Here's a nice little map of the world of Conan. A lot of work goes into this. This is a no colors. It's a black and white story. So a lot of extra work goes into the inking. I've noticed myself that when I draw, I put a lot of work into the inking and then color over it and the inks just evaporate. You can't really see the work done. So in black and white issues, if there's no color, the inker has to compensate and put a lot of extra work in. Although, oftentimes to the inker, that just means more play. Like a kid in the sandbox, you know? So here we have Conan on the losing end of a sort of a nut in the shell game, like the New Yorker guys do to steal money from tourists who don't know any better. And here Conan is playing the tourist. He keeps losing. The middle one, the middle shell. How unfortunate. Everybody laughs. Don't laugh at Conan. You know, just take his money. Don't ever. If Mike Tyson shows up at your restaurant and he's dressed funny, you tell Mike Tyson that looks like the best fashion you've ever seen. Don't laugh at Mike Tyson and never laugh at Conan. You know, this is a law of the universe. Anyway, Conan's up to it. He figures out what's going on. This guy's been cheating. He's hiding the nut. Conan's gonna hide a little nut somewhere else too. Oh, thank God this is not a kid's show. And he gets right into it. The death, the slaying, the sword swinging. The kicking to the... Is that the... It might be a kick to the nuts. Look at the work. Look at the work. Man, it's done so well. So he kills the caravan and takes off on one of their camels. Releases... Oh, he doesn't kill all of them. He kills most of them. Saves a few of them for the lesson of not to fuck with Conan. Steals their horses, releases their camels, and takes off. We're 6 pages in. We've already got more action than an entire year worth of Squirrel Girl comic books. 6 pages of Conan. This is how you tell a story. Now we introduce the villainess. She needs special kinds of slaves. She's got a whole list here of dudes to pick from. Are you willing to sacrifice for me? Anything for my queen. We'll see about that. More like everything for your queen. She only needs a few of them, There's no need for the others. Slay them. What a villain. These two guys see what happens to those who aren't worthy of her attentions. They're not so sure, but she's having a great time. You might envy them before much longer. Good villain work. Meanwhile, this is pretty cool. This is a sort of a montage of different kinds of sorcerers. You've got a witch, you've got a tribal doctor, and I don't know, like an East Asian warlock, maybe? I don't know. But they're all Soratha, Yeth, Sogatha, Sogoth. These are all names of the same dark being that's going to return to Earth, and they're all terrified. There's another character wandering through. I thought this was Conan when I was younger. All the hero guys are built huge. This is not Conan. This is another character who's part of the story. He meets this sort of oracle kid. He gives some money to him. The kid is able to channel something to do with the dark god coming. He's freaking out. Oh, I love the artwork. I'm going to be bringing that up often, probably. Just going to have to bear with me. Conan's such a cool character. So this guy needs the services of the siblings, the boy who's an oracle and the sister who takes care of him. And they make their way through the desert. Little do they know, Conan's out, just chilling, looking for somebody to kill to take their money, maybe some food and water. Well, these three, the boy, the girl, and the guy who hired them, make their way through the desert, and they're caught by bandits. These bandits want their stuff, and they're saying some, they want the woman, but not her priest. They're going to do some naughty things to her. They're going to do some really bad, naughty things. They chuck him off the horse. And here's a scene that you won't see in Marvel comic books anymore. In fact, we won't get into it too much, but they're going to do awful things to her, clearly. There's another story I could tell about that in comic books, but we're going to hold off on that for a bit. I might as well do it right now. So, a few years ago when this whole thing was starting, the whole milkshake crisis in comic books started, I knew a guy who owned a comic book shop downtown, and he puts up on his Facebook page, he's not sure how to handle this, some guy has somebody's returned a comic book to his store. It was a Wonder Woman comic book, and there was a grape scene in the comic book, and she was really upset. It was the establishing shot way back in the day to show how it was that Wonder Woman came to be, and as it turns out, her mom was, apologies for the nonsense, but it's YouTube, she was graped by a Greek god, and that's how the Amazonians brought about, that's how the fusion between the Greek and the Amazonians is what brought about Wonder Woman. It wasn't even a graphic scene in the comic book. It was just sort of like a dark mention. This is a horrible thing that came about. Many heroes have some horrible thing in their past they have to compensate for. It's not even always their thing they have to compensate for. Sometimes it's their tribes. Their tribe did a horrible thing. This was Wonder Woman's. This isn't a new thing or a new take. So anyway, the person who bought the comic book was so offended and outraged and threatened and assaulted and felt so unsafe that this person returned the comic book to the store, demanded her money back. His money? I think it was a her. And so the comic book owner was concerned. He didn't want to trigger anybody. He doesn't want to offend anybody. Certainly, he's a good social justice warrior. So he puts up on his Facebook page, how do I put trigger warnings up for all the comic books? How do I compensate for this? Should I have separate trigger warnings for every single issue? That could become expensive. I have to have every issue read by every person, and then we have to go through all the things that could offend all the different people in all the different ways. How many labels is that? And I suggested to him when I read this, well, I'm not of this social justice stuff, and so when I go to your store, you're going to have to take all the labels off on my behalf because the labels will upset me a little bit, It was kind of a catch-22. He's trying to please everybody, but for me, the very act of pleasing everybody is something that I find displeasing, so you can't do it. This is a rant here. I kind of got out of track. Just wanted to show that this is just a single scene. Nothing happens. She escapes and is saved, of course, by Conan. But this kind of thing, this could put an entire company out of business nowadays. This Just that one panel. Not only shut down the comic book, the character, the artists, the writers, but, this kind of thing has to be very delicate nowadays. We're going to tell a story. This is why I like the past. In storytelling, I like the past. Anyway, I've been rambling for 3 minutes here. I'm going to get back to it, but this stuff is nuts. So, rambling. Conan is taking out these bad guys, these slavers. If there's anything Conan hates more than anyone else in the world, it's someone who takes their freedom away. Conan, if anything, there was an adventuring libertarian. It was definitely Conan. He's not having it. Some cool Conan agility fighting skills, leaping over the attack, leaning in for the strike. I don't remember seeing that, but oh no. Oh no. And then here he's saying, I've taken care of your problem for you. You may keep your water bags. He's not entirely without compassion, but Conan's going to rob a bit of your stuff too. He's not going to take your freedom. He's just going to take some of your stuff. That's a proper anti-hero, my friends. That's how you goon altruistically. Now they're working at a deal. This guy, as it turns out, could use some protection for whatever weird thing they're getting up to with the Oracle boy and his sister. He convinces Conan to come along. There's going to be adventure and money in it for you. Some kind of wealth. And here's the villainess on top of some kind of establishing shot of some weird looking island thing. She's sitting on top of a stone throne. And here come her volunteers, all dressed up. This reminded me a lot of the first Conan movie when I saw it. There was that scene where Arnold is painted up with all those cool glyphs when they're going to bring him back from the dead. I thought it was a nice touch, a nice little nod to the movie. And then here it is at nighttime. They're preparing for the ritual. Conan and his team are preparing. They're waiting for the right time before they strike. And these guys show up. As it turns out, their witch doctor or warlock or whatever relevant term it might be has told them that the Shoggoth monster is coming and they're going to try to fight it. They're going to try and stop it. And these two agree to join sides. It might be too big for either of them to handle. And then more guys show up. This is a whole team. It's like a whole... It could start an NBA team here. Only they don't get along too well. And Conan kills them and takes their horses. Conan. I love that Conan's solution to everything is a sword. Man, life would be so easier if I could go to the Revenue Canada when I have my bills and I don't like the taxes inherent, and I just show up with a sword. I don't have to actually attack anybody. I just here's my negotiating skills. And they're like, oh, it looks like your taxes are less than we thought. How nice. And here's the cool bit. They're making their way up these spires, trying to get to the woman before she completes the ritual to bring the monster back. These guys are just figuring out, maybe I shouldn't have trusted the evil villain lady. And then, fire erupts from the chest and, oh God. Oh God. What a good story. Look at the villainy. And she's just dancing. She's just loving it. The witch is having a good time too. See, a good villain has to enjoy themselves. I don't want to see some soggy-faced, This is the reason why the villain... Oh, I always forget his name. This is treacherous and tragic. The guy who played the villain from Die Hard and Robin Hood. This guy had fun when he killed people. She's about to have a lot of fun too. Good villain. Good villain work. Conan is faced with a problem. They're trying to sneak their way in using the guards' outfits, but this guy's like, you're too big to be one of us. I don't think this is... You don't seem like one of us. And here's the... Tribes guys aren't wearing the costumes very well. Conan's like, this is a problem. I don't know how to fix this problem. How should we... Bam! I'll just kill my problem with many swords and blood and... Yeah, Conan. Good problem-solving skills right there. I like it. Look at the work. Man, that's beautiful. Just look at the design in the sky. This is such good work. They make their way up, and the further up they go, the spire, the further they go from the world until they get this. This is where I really became lost. I just became hypnotized. As a kid, this is what you go up the spire. At the beginning, it's just the empty night sky, but you get to the top and you're in a different universe, a different world. There's planets hovering everywhere. They're in this monster beast's homeland now. They pass through a dimension. And she's losing it. Her minions are in full, I don't know what you call this, hedonistic dance throes. Their god's about to show up. The god's little bird minion things are already taking care of business, or is Conan taking care of their business? One of his guys gets chucked off, and here's the thing. This is a creepy monster. The thing has been summoned, and look at the size of it. Look at the size of it. It's coming from beyond the horizon, right? This is the biggest thing I've ever seen in any story. This is bigger than the Independence Day spaceships. This is bigger than anything I've ever seen anywhere. This is such a freaking cool idea. On top of these spires with different planets in the background, Conan's just a dude with a sword, and he's not even scared. Meanwhile, her dates are having a hot night. Conan gets to the top. Is there enough time left to stop this ritual, this monster from taking over? If the ritual finishes, Earth becomes replaced with this monster's homeland. That's not a good deal. The Oracle, who I'm almost finished the comic book, but I should have mentioned somewhere around here, is actually blind, gets his sight back. This is a big plot twist. It means nothing to any of us because I ruined it. But had I remembered that he's blind, this would have been a big deal. And he gets the sight back and shoots some zappy electric laser shit out of it. Takes her down. He takes her out. How cool is that? But the beast still remains. And so do her creepy, stupid henchmen. Conan doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to fight this thing. He does have this jug of something that's supposed to be a poison to it, but he doesn't know. Oh, water. That's right. I messed this up. He's got to put the bodies out. The volunteers who are set aflame are the doorway for this monster. Just when he gets the bag, he's trying to put the thing out, put out the corpse. He gets grabbed by the interdimensional monster thingy. Like, that is bigger than the guy from... Remember that thing came from the moon in Hellboy? Like, this thing is bigger. This is such a cool story. This creature means to make me a meal, and I am to die without a sword in my hand. If only. Crom guides his hand. The water hits the victim volunteer corpse guy, the bad hot date. Boom. Just like that, it's over. He saves the day. They go off to enjoy themselves. And that was a Conan story. That was how Conan used to rock. This was Marvel back in the day. This is Marvel just 20, 30, 32 years ago. I feel old all the time. When I start saying things like it was only 32 years ago this happened. I was 8 at the time, for what it's worth, but still. What a great tale. And then here we have another little filler bit. A nice Greek story. But Kull the Conqueror, who was sort of like a Conan guy, but becomes a king. I think that's the difference. It's a cool little bit. He's running a slave market, Kull, and he hears a voice, little brother. It turns out to be one of his old mates. But the slaver's like, yo, he's a slave. You can't be talking to this guy. And he does a flashback. He remembers where he met the guy. This guy taught Kull, when he was a slave, how to stand up to slavers. And he got beaten for it, badly. But look, if you're going to be a mean, bully, goon guy, if you're going to be a slaver, you're not allowed to have 6 ponytails. You can't do that and be taken seriously. When I was 8, I read this and thought, that guy's face looks funny. Or something like that. I remember not taking him seriously at all. But in this comic book, he does... The many ponytail guy beats the crap out of the dude who teaches Cull to stand up. Cull? What the hell's his name? Cull. The Invincible. Cull was sort of... didn't have the thing it takes to stand up for oneself before he met this dude who kept on getting beaten for it, but he just wouldn't give up. They may fetter your limbs, little brother, but they can never enslave your mind. If you can be free in here, then you can be your own master. This, if there is a single panel to dispute the idea of identity politics and ideology at large, it is this panel right here. They may fetter your limbs. As long as you belong free, so long as you're free in your mind, you're free everywhere. And so Cull learns the lesson. And one day, when the many ponytail hair guy comes, they go and they fight on deck. There's some kind of attack on top deck. They need the slaves to help them fight. They do fight. This is a cool picture. Look at the coolness in there. It would take forever to draw that complexity. For me anyway. Cull and his buddy do a lot of work, kill a lot of people. Impressive. Very impressive. You can't see it, but it's the many ponytail guy saying this. Too impressive. And he cuts the hand off the dude who just saved the boat. Where's your pride now, slave? Your threat was empty. Now you can't kill me. No, but Cull can. Ah! Now he doesn't have to. And now even the guy who taught Cull how to stand and how to be free in his heart says, now they're going to kill you. He says, no, big brother. They will try. The flashback ends. Cull decides, you're not going to take my big brother. Frees him, pays him lightly, and the two free men walk off together. Fin. The end. And just some fun pictures here of Conan kicking ass, killing people, taking names because he's all out of bubble gum. Another one. And an ad for the NAM magazine. You'll notice not a single advertisement throughout the entire course of this story. Just a single straight run of amazing storytelling. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been Appropriated Productions. Stay apolitically correct and have a good night.